you for having us.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure. It's one of those things where I always feel like I told you when I got here, I'm always asking people, hey, can I come and just be a stranger from the internet at somebody's house? So it's always fun to immediately connect with folks. And I think everybody on this podcast or video series knows that I'm from New Mexico. It's a deep, deep part of who I am. And then whenever I saw somebody using as many trays as you guys use, I mean, it's pretty remarkable for where in the world are all these microgreen trays going and who are they selling to? I've been trying to get out here for several months. We've had a couple of trips get canceled, but here we are.
I'm so glad you came. Thank you for coming to Midori Acres.
Well, let's, how did all this start? And
Yeah, so I was telling her that our farm started during COVID, and it was pretty unique because we had a garden, our own garden that we were getting our fresh produce from. And I missed that in the winter. And so I told my husband, Carvel, who was the grower, I said, please, can we find a way to get some more fresh produce into our home because we were running out of the kale and the winter crops that grow here. And he said, well, I'm going to start trying to grow microgreens. And I said, what are microgreens? He said, well, they're kind of like sprouts. And I had a thought and I said, please don't grow sprouts. I don't enjoy sprouts.
It's like an immediate knee-jerk reaction from microgreen growers. No, they're not sprouts.
It is. And I didn't know what they were. And I just remember eating a sandwich as a young child with a big gob of sprouts on them. And it just wasn't pleasant to me. They were like, it's kind of like eating some hair or something. Or maybe I didn't enjoy it because my mom was making me eat them. But at any rate, I didn't want to eat sprouts. And he informed me that they are, in fact, not sprouts. And I said, well, what are they? And he said, well, I'm going to grow some and you're going to find out. So he
like it or not.
Yeah, exactly. He started growing them on coconut coir and some other medium. And we were just in the small room there in the garage. And finally, he got to where he could grow 2 big full trays pretty good. And he brought them into the house and I took one bite. And then he left to go get the other tray. And he came back and I had eaten the entire tray. And he was not very happy with me because it took him over 10 days to grow that tray. And I said, I'm sorry, I just love these.
The first of many.
Yes. And he said, well, I'm going to have to grow some more trays. So he did. He started growing about 10 trays, 20 trays. We started giving them to our family members and our neighbors around Taos. And everybody just loved them. So it just kind of snowballed after that. And we officially launched on August 6th, 2019. So that's how it started.
If you were to tell me that I was going to be at this type of homestead, I was like, I mean, this is exactly what I would hoped that we were to come to. Rock yard, perfectly landscaped for me, and for us that know. And you're right next to the gorge. I mean, the landscape around the farm is just unbelievable. And you're saying that there's still room to grow, maybe add on to the market for some stuff coming up in ground kind of thing and market garden style. So how do you guys feel about that these days?
We feel pretty good about it. We've grown to the point now where we're at 200 trays a week, which is not the capacity that our farm can handle. We can handle a little bit more, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but we're getting to capacity. So we are excited to build the farm to capacity and then maybe hit the pause button and decide where to go from there. But we do have more opportunity to penetrate here just in Taos County alone, and then also potentially further south.
Let's talk about that market because it is a small town. However, there's a lot going on and there's a lot, I think you found a lot of opportunities within that small market. And I think a lot of people need the encouragement to go, okay, there's a little bit more niches and pockets that's available. And one thing I thought was really fantastic was that you guys are actually in supermarkets. I know it's a big hurdle for a lot of folks, and I'd like to touch on that if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. So the local grocery market here in Taos is pretty strong. We do have one called Sid's Food Market, and they've been here in Taos for years and years, and they're a wonderful partner of ours. They believe in buying all of their produce from local growers. So there's a local grower that's up in San Cristobal, and he supplies all the vegetables for Sid's grocery market. And they were very happy to welcome us as a microgreen grower. They had microgreens in the past, but then they went away. And so they said, please bring us any varieties that you have. And so they've partnered with us on that level. And then we also partner with our local co-ops, and those are important too. So as a microgreen farmer, I think it's important to reach out to the local cooperative markets. We are working with the ones in Dixon and in Los Alamos. But as far as growing with the big name brand grocery markets, that's kind of a different animal. And I have spoken with some of them, Whole Foods, Kroger, natural grocers, and they have specific hurdles that you have to go through and requirements. So that would be the next step for us logically. But for now, a local microgreen farmer, I would recommend that they reach out to their local grocery stores and food co-ops just to start. That's the first step, is get in touch with them. They do want to promote the local produce that is in the state that they have their store in, but you do have to meet all of their requirements, and there are many of them.
Also, these grocery stores, on what they have to comply with on the state, local, federal level, not necessarily federal, but they're also going to have their own, hey, this is what we as a store, we as a company require.
Yes.
So it's an additional hurdle that you can't go learn unless you actually talk to one of those gatekeepers like you talked about. I see several varieties getting grown in there. It was trial and error. How did you come upon those varieties?
We actually have a wonderful mentor, and his name is David Barchard, and he's out of Canada, and he has a operation called Micori Acres. And his whole philosophy is to bring microgreens to the masses. And we loved that concept when we first spoke with him. So we found him on Instagram. We also found him through Bootstrap Farmer.
Found a lot of weird people through that Instagram.
I know, right? And we reached out to him, and he said, if you would like, I could show you my business model and how it works. And he recommended that we start off with 4 varieties. And so we started off with sunflower shoots, pea shoots, radish, and a salad blend. So we just started off with 4 to make it simple. And it was per his recommendation, and it worked amazingly.
It's amazing what you can learn from somebody that's done this before, haven't you?
Absolutely. That's what I love about this community, is that we're all here to help one another out. And our philosophy is the same as David's. The more awareness we can bring to the community about microgreens on a local level, and then hopefully a regional level, national, global level, then the more opportunity there are going to be for farmers. And it's just a great thing for people to know about how amazing they are.
I know for us, it's real important that we go and talk to people that are making the type of difference that somebody can look to and be inspired. Because as a farmer, especially when you're starting out, it's like everything's kicking you in the teeth. Everything's 10 times more expensive than you thought. Everything takes longer. You don't realize you have to trial, all these, little hurdles that become big hurdles that get in the way. And if you have somebody at the local level, well, they did, if they can do it and I can go have coffee with them, that really says something to, it is possible. And I think people need to see somebody make it, kind of thing. It's like, how do movie stars become movie stars?
Right.
They had to start somewhere.
Right.
And the people they went to college with or high school with are like, damn, man, if that guy, what do you have, But I think people need to see that and know somebody at that level. So bringing microgreens to masses, like he says, we have to have all these ambassadors all over the place that are doing the good work.
Yes, absolutely. And one of his main components of his business is consulting. And that's something that we have not developed yet. So maybe that'll be a next step moving forward with us to expand our business. We're also talking about trying some edible flowers this year, but it is essential to have the camaraderie in the local community, even in Canada and the United States, so we can all help each other out. It was essential for us and our success in the farm.
Right. What's it look like from the regional standpoint about farmers getting together? I mean, I'm so far removed from here, like my New Mexico time versus my agricultural time, a whole nother lifetime ago. So we went to the Santa Fe market. I mean, it seemed like it was a great market. Yeah. I mean, do people get together?
Yeah, I would say people do get together. And I think now more than ever, especially as a result of COVID, maybe folks are more determined to figure out where their food's coming from on a local level. And so there's renewed interest in that. And so community is so vital and important. And that includes farmers markets. That includes ethnic farmers markets. Here in New Mexico, we have Hispanic, Latino, and also Native farmers markets. And it requires all of us to come together as one, to work together to bring this wonderful produce to the local community. And then it can be affected on a regional level and a state level. So there's pretty good support here in New Mexico, I would say, but there's always room for improvement.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I would imagine if it's like anywhere else, you're starting to get an influx of people coming in from out of state, moving here. They bring their own traditions, they bring their own palates and desires and wants. Just don't mess with the chilies too much, and we'll get along. But
Yeah.
I would think that these people moving into areas like this, it's really going to open some things up as well.
Yes, I think so too. We've already seen an increase in the people moving to the town of Taos. As a result, our home prices and property prices have gone up. So it should keep increasing. Hopefully, we'll be able to have the folks to support that infrastructure. But as we start to bring in some young blood from other cities, they can help out with the community too. Because as you mentioned earlier, the gorge is right over here. We have the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in the background, and behind me is the convergence of the Rio Grande. And so the landscape here is just amazing. It's the land of enchantment.
Well, and you guys are uniquely positioned in a ski town that sees an influx of people off season per se. You guys being able to grow indoors. I mean, I would think that the demand would actually go up, especially on the weekends. Not a lot of farmers could capture that opportunity while you're indoor. You could, especially with the clientele that might be coming in to enjoy that.
You're absolutely right. So this is not a seasonal operation. It's a 24/7, 365 days a year operation. Our local grocery market, Sid's, doesn't just buy the individual containers, SKUs from us. We've partnered with their chefs in the kitchen because they make a lot of ready to eat products like grab and go sandwiches and grab and go salads. And that's essential to have up there at the ski valley when you have families coming in and they want to just get a quick bite to eat. So the chef there has incorporated our shoots, specifically our sunflower shoots, into the sandwiches and the salads. So we actually sell bulk sunflower shoots and pea shoots and some salad blend to SIDS in bulk, and that can be a great way to promote your business and grow it. Is to sell bulk to the chefs, not only to a grocery store that might make grab and go sandwiches, but also to the restaurants.
Well, it gives you another income stream too. You know, you're reducing your packaging, reducing the labor, but at the same time, you're also selling to something that they don't want to buy individual packages on. And it gives your customer an option and lets them buy the way they want to buy.
Yes. It's essential too for us to partner with the local chefs that want larger quantities. Like we have one manzanita market and they buy 5 pounds of radish from us. And instead of putting that in a plant-based biodegradable container, which is pretty big, we just go ahead and throw it in one of our commercial tubs and we swap that out with them each week so that we're not putting any kind of containers into the waste stream, even if they are biodegradable.
I think people don't understand how much chefs in the back of the house really consider that because they're having to pay for sanitation, they're having to pay for stuff to get picked up. Maybe I'm sure every time you go in, it's now at one certain spot where it's an easy exchange. It takes a while for that exchange program to, it seems, sync up. The dishwasher's like, what the hell do I do with this tub? Where'd this come from? You know, I've seen stuff get thrown away. I've seen stuff get stored wrong. But after a while, especially if you put a charge on there a little bit, but it may help to get some of that stuff back and to have that exchange program.
It does help. And what's been essential for us, and we've noticed, and Dave also helped us with this in our consulting, is consistency. So we are consistent every week and day in, day out. So we harvest on a Wednesday and we deliver on a Thursday. So we want to get that fresh product to our customers within 24 hours of harvest. So that is essential. And once you establish that rapport with your local chefs and your supermarkets, they will be very happy with you because they can rely on every single week we're going to bring them fresh microgreens. They do partner with our local growers in the summer, but like you mentioned earlier, that's seasonal. So it can be hard for them sometimes in the winter months to make up for that loss, whereas we bring it to them every single week. And once you establish that consistency with them, they know that they can rely on you. And it'll start off as a small order, but just give it a little bit of time, just be patient. They will start to increase their orders because they start to trust you.
Well, and in that consistency, and now they know the grower, they know the communication's good, easy to work with. They can go, hey, we have an event coming up, we have a seasonal menu change up. Now you're getting into new varieties and new things to experiment and have fun with. Our edible flower program coming up, they already have that established relationship with you. That's not going to be a hard sell for them.
Exactly. Carvel has mentioned this time and time again. Once you've established a relationship with the local grocery market or with the chef, and they know the Midori name and how consistent we are, they're going to welcome anything new that you'd like to try. So it's just kind of like an easy step forward to continue to grow the business in that direction.
How's the shelves look? Are they empty when you get there? Is the demand more than what they're ordering, or is it something in flux?
You know, it kind of was dicey at first just because, believe it or not, it was the way that we were date coding our microgreens. So we had a harvest date on our label, and that was confusing for the produce manager at the grocery store. And instead, he said, could you put a use by date on your microgreens? And our shoots, the sunflower shoots and the pea shoots, have a shelf life of 3 weeks, which is incredible. And they can go even further than that, but we just don't put a date out that far. And then our brassicas have a shelf life of 2 weeks. Once we started putting the use by date on there, then the flow in the supermarket started to, that was FIFO, first in, first out, and then it became a lot more consistent. And our rates at the grocery store have slowly increased. So our quantities, believe it or not, even through the winter months or the downtime, have stayed consistent. So when he delivers today, he'll go into Sid's Food Market and there might be 10 packages on the shelf, if that. So they want to make sure that they're getting that produce from us every single week. I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit about, if you're a local grower or if you're a restaurant here in Taos, New Mexico, or you're planning on starting a restaurant, to please reach out to Midori Acres. Our handle on Instagram is Midori_Acres, and we'd be happy to partner with you. And for those of you who are growing on a local level, I mentioned this before to Nick, please make sure that you speak to the chefs and also the other folks that are in the restaurant, the bartender, the local wait staff, and kind of talk about their menu and what some of their seasonal options may be, because it's essential to get the microgreen incorporated into the dish rather than utilizing it as simply a garnish, although that could just be a start. But the more that you educate the chefs and the staff on the microgreen, the more that they'll believe in the product. And one thing that really worked for us, we had a couple of chefs come visit our farm, and that was wonderful because they actually got to see the process. They understand that they have to place the order 10 days in advance because we have to plan to plant the seed so that we could support their order. So that's what I would recommend that you do. And it helps if you know some of the folks in your local town and community, and they are always willing to help, especially the agricultural community. Here in Taos, everybody really wants to help each other out and see everyone succeed. And we believe firmly in local produce and agriculture. So yeah, just reach out to the local folks in the community and you'll find somebody that's really interested in it, and they could be your best advocate for your product.
Well, thanks for having us out to the farm. It's so nice to see it in this kind of setting for once. And you guys got a great operation. I told him, I said, this is some of the healthiest plants I've ever seen. I mean, everything really looks good in there. So something to be very proud of, and we're proud of you and just thrilled we're a little part of your farm.
Oh, thank you so much, Nick. We appreciate the support. I'm so glad you could come visit.